directives were approved for the Ministry of Transport that include a memo for the award of contract for the procurement of modular tamping machines at the cost of 630 million naira for the Nigerian Railway Corporation.
Is for immediate use in Agbo. The second memo was a memo asking for Council's approval for the award of contract for the procurement of one reach stacker, the sum of 247,062,708 naira. This is for the benefit of the National Inland Waterway Authority for its Lokoja River Port. Another memo by the Ministry of Transportation which sought Council's approval to seek Council's approval for the award of contract for the removal of wrecks along the Badagry Creek from Tinkan Island to Navy Town, Lagos State, in the sum of 3,587,955,266 naira 40 kobo.
Now, the Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, has repaid 2 trillion naira out of its 4.7 trillion naira commitment to the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Managing Director of AMCON, Ahmed Kuru, who stated these, said the corporation has achieved its first mandate of purchasing the non-performing loans NPLs and providing liquidity to commercial banks. In terms of recoveries, he said AMCON has made a total recovery of above 1.2 trillion naira, sold assets worth about 500 billion naira, and resolved close to 5,000 eligible bank assets. He also noted that the fundamental objectives of the establishment of AMCON was to rescue commercial banks and some underlying strategic businesses in Nigeria from the brink of collapse in the aftermath of the global financial crisis of 2008 through acquisition of non-performing loans and to dispose of the underlying assets in the most profitable manner. Now the dollar held near a multi-month high against other major currencies on Thursday as investors bet fiscal stimulus and aggressive vaccinations will help the United States grow faster than other economies. Some better times are here for Nigerian women who have been in the front of campaigns for equality and inclusion. The Africa Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, is partnering the Nigerian Export-Import Nexim Bank to mobilize a $50 million project preparation fund to provide technical assistance to bankable small and medium enterprises, including those promoted by women and youth, in a bid to consolidate on the economic recovery process.
Recognizes that women's economic empowerment is not only important in its own right, but it is also smart economics, with the potential to bring about broad-based growth and poverty alleviation at the national level and state level.
Under this partnership, we wish to mobilize up to $50 million towards providing technical assistance to increase pipeline of bankable projects, particularly from SMEs, where the women and youth have their businesses.
I'm now being joined by Stella Okotete. She is the Executive Director, Business and Development at the Nigeria Export-Import Bank, and she will be throwing more light on the partnership with Afrexim Bank on agro exports and how it will be affecting players in the SME sector on the back of the International Women's Day. You're welcome, ma'am, to Business Express.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So, tell me, please, how does it work and who are the beneficiaries of this fund, the targeted beneficiaries?
We launched the YF Fund 2 days ago in Abuja here. The purpose of the fund is to stimulate and increase funding to women and youths in the export value chain. We also, as a team, came up with an acronym PAVE, which means produce, add value, and export. And so, for us at Nexim, we're working towards exporting value-added produce and products from Nigeria. And so our targets are basically small and medium-scale businesses, women, and youths. And you agree with me, these are the workforce that can actually grow a strong economy.
So any targeted products?
It's across manufacturing, agro-allied, solid minerals, and services. And so we're funding export of services to the world. We're funding export of processed hibiscus, sesame, cocoa, ginger, garlic, solid minerals. There's a whole lot of demand for Nigerians non-oil produce. Solid minerals, which is inclusive. We have lead ore, we have a whole lot of stones, gold, so we're going to definitely work, in partnership with critical stakeholders across the manufacturing, agriculture, solid minerals and service export entrepreneurs to support their export with these funds.
Okay, so the good news now is that we have AFCFTA in place and every country on the continent is looking for a market space. So how will this particular project help Nigerian businesses in the SME sector to gain some sort of leverage with the AFCFTA?
With the coming of AFTA, we're hopeful that would support Nigerian businesses to feed Africa, to clothe Africa. You can see I'm wearing a dire this beautiful morning. And so our drive is to see that we export made in Nigerian goods to the whole of Africa. With our population, with the teeming workforce that we have, and with the funds and the backing of our shareholders, we'll definitely be playing a very active role in the African free continental trade.
Okay, so now another question that we've always had to deal with from our feedback centers. What do these people, who are the target beneficiaries, what do they stand to gain, and perhaps what is the process for them to get in on this moving train?
For the country, we have a whole lot to gain because we're talking about jobs. Every fund that will be availed to exporters, processors, will definitely create new jobs for our people. It's at a single digit, which is one of the best you ever get anywhere in Africa today. We're also looking at ensuring that you have bankable business products that we can fund. So we'll be organizing some webinars all through the season to get the small and medium scale business owners and entrepreneurs, ready to, draw down from the facility. We're also targeting the young Nigerian youths. We need more Nigerian youths to play in the export value chain. And that's why you heard the name women and youth. So we try to strike a balance, bringing the women to the fore who really play in the entire export value chain, especially in the agro-allied space. The women are in charge of the cocoa space, they're in charge of sesame, hibiscus, ginger. They do the drying, the packaging, And now we want them to actually be more aggregators, exporters, and manufacturers of finished products from Nigeria. It will interest you to know that Nexim Bank funded the first sesame oil processing plant in West Africa, in Lagos. And now we have finished, already processed sesame oil being exported to Egypt, to Dubai, India, and China. And so we want to replicate this across all key sectors. Also for shea butter. We also funded one of the biggest shea processing plants in Nigeria. We're funding 2 others in Niger State. At the end of Q2, we hope that with these 3 plants being completed and into production, we'll definitely be topping the export space, the shea butter export space in the world.
Okay, so what are the monitoring and evaluation steps you've put in place to ensure that these funds are actually used for what they're meant for? And then the major one is paying back.
Okay. All our funds are adequately collateralized, which is in line with the policies of the central bank. We also have our staffs who are on hand to handhold the exporters, especially the small business owners and the young entrepreneurs we are bringing into the export pool. So we'll definitely be carrying out timely monitoring and advisory services, which is very key, because once you give them your money, you expect that the market is available, and which we know is available. So we'll definitely be reviewing the export contracts to ensure that our exporters are not, exposed to fraudulent buyers, and the pricing is also right. With all of this in place, I'm sure we'll be able to closely monitor and get back this fund so more Nigerians can actually draw down from our products.
So let's say I'm a young person who wants to begin to export. What are the key steps I need to take?
Right now, I'm sure you're already being exported to the world. You're doing a good job here. And what you really need is a bankable business plan, which is your business feasibility study. You need to be registered, because we're managing taxpayers' money, so definitely you have to be a registered business in Nigeria. You're paying your tax, your financials are in place, and you have an export contract, which is very key and very important for you to carry out that. And above that, because we are not just creating jobs, we're also trying to increase our foreign earnings outside oil. We expect that all your exports must be, NXP. You must be registered with the CBN and the customs.
Okay, so now the exporter, just for the sake of our viewers now, is it the exporter who will be getting the export contract, or you would assist them in getting the contract?
We have an SME DEX that can also do a bit of market linkage and financial advisory services to the exporters. But we expect that when you're going into a business, you already have a market. And if you do not have a market, we could definitely support you with getting you some verified export contracts. And what we're doing in Nexim is that we are funding the entire value chain of export, because we want to also see that we have retail packaged goods leave Nigeria to shelves all over the world. We want to see made in Nigerian brands in Tesco, in Sainsbury's and all of that. So we're working closely with exporters, and we'll definitely achieve that. We're also working with key stakeholders like NEPC and the quarantine service and all of that, players in the export space, to ensure that we're not just taking out anything, we're taking out quality, well-branded products out of Nigeria to the world.
Thank you very much,
ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I've been speaking with Ms. Stella Okotiti, the Executive Director of at the Nexim Bank. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Great. Next is Surviving COVID-19 series.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
He has been a farmer since childhood and delved into agriculture business as a teenager until he decided to build an abattoir 10 years ago. His reasons:
the meat of Nigeria cannot be eaten by dogs in Europe or South Africa. Let me pioneer starting a modern abattoir. Since I have some cattle on my own, so I mobilized all the monies I have, some property I had, I sold them.
It was a commercial abattoir, but with COVID-19, they had to resort to private services where they only butcher on request.
Due to the close down, we cannot bring cattle from Niger, Cameroon, and other places which were our source of cattle. So everyone has to source whatever he needs within Nigeria.
While agriculture in general is said to be one of the sectors heavily affected by the pandemic, Tafida is of a different opinion.
So COVID-19 is not a threat to agriculture at all. Go to Taraba and see how people from Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto have moved down in this dry season, and they are doing dry season rice farming. Wonderful. But it is 90% of the food we are eating is not important. So the effect is not felt. But the only way the effect was felt, because the farmer uses most of his input as imported input.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) are perfecting plans to set up a standing committee on the resolution of remedial issues arising from the NTA audit report and recommendations. Abdul Malik Hassan reports.
Is like a meeting between the examiner and the candidate, but here NTA and NNPC are working out plans on how best to exchange views that will provide public value in the ongoing reforms in the extractive sector.
We insist that this should be based on mutual respect. NTA has no interest to compromise the job of NNPC, and NNPC should at least respect the mandate and strength of NTA at all times. That will help the two organizations to grow, and that will help to build public trust and confidence in our citizens who have so much confidence in the work of NTA. For the first time in 43 years, the audited financial statement, NNPC on our recommendation is now a member of the global EITI, joining global oil companies. And to become a member of the EITI is a lot. You committed to a lot, and some of which you are already doing.
Closure did to us can be easily quantified in terms of our relationship with our financing institutions. A number of our transactions do take long periods of time in the past because they have no access to our records, they have no access to our financial statements. And since we opted to disclose our financial statements, the speed with which we close financial transaction has been monumental. Probably we have gained about almost, we do them at a quarter of the time they would have ordinarily taken.
There is the optimism that this partnership between NTA and NNPC will yield positive results that will facilitate transparency and accountability to drive the petroleum industry to greater heights.
Now, just a quick reminder that the World Trade Organization has released its latest forecast where it puts trade growth for the year 2021 to rise by as much as 8% after a contraction of 5.3% in the year 2020. Prospects for a quick rebound in world trade, also economists say, has improved, and an uneven recovery after the COVID-19 shocks is on the way. Let's now see how the commodities market is faring this Thursday. Nigerian Stock Exchange ends March 0.57% lower amid negative market breadth. And away from home, Japan's Nikkei 225 jumps more than 1% as investors react to data releases across Asia-Pacific. Neka Oko reports.
Stocks in Asia-Pacific were higher in Thursday trade as the second quarter kicked off with several economic data releases across the region. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index led gains among the region's major markets as it rose 1.48%. Nikkei 225 climbed 0.72% in afternoon trade, while the Shanghai Composite gained 0.71%. European stocks advanced slightly on Thursday ahead of a raft of data releases from the region. London FTSE added 0.43%, with technology stocks climbing 1.1% to lead gains, while oil and gas stocks edged 0.3% lower. Meanwhile, U.S. stocks were mostly flat in early trading Thursday as Wall Street looked to build on a solid March following the rollout of President Joe Biden's infrastructure plan. The plan includes spending on roads and bridges as well as green energy and water system upgrades. Contracts tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped just 6 points, while those for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 were in mildly positive territory. Neka Oko, Business Express.
And of course, with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. The hashtag is BizX. Business Express returns Friday at 3 p.m. I am Leah Katung Babatunde. It is April Fool's Day. If you must be fooled, at least don't lose money. Bye for now.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
Abuja Intra-Products Agency then called me because we are partner with them. They say we should come. There is a survivor fund that the government wanted to give technicians.
They capture everybody, including food seller in my own workshop.
When my chairman called me that there is parity something, that I should come and take my cash off, the money now come, and that money helped me a lot. As a widow, where there is no husband. So it's this thing that I used to help myself, and that money helped me and pay some of my children's school fees.
You don't reach almost 40-something years back where I did for this Nigeria. I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
It is only this government, President Muhammadu Buhari, likewise advised that he recognize a mechanic.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome to Agenda 2030. I am Toyi Nkamiang John. Good health and well-being are a cardinal part of the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. As elucidated in Goal 3, the global agenda seeks to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. The SDGs also seeks to end preventable deaths, achieve universal health coverage, and substantially reduce the number of deaths and illnesses from epidemics, communicable and non-communicable diseases by 2030. On Agenda 2030 this week, we will be bringing to you the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari to reverse the poor health indices by engaging in massive and comprehensive rehabilitation of some premier hospitals across the country through the office of his Senior Special Assistant on SDGs. Do stay with us.
Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
We will begin by taking you on a journey to the ancient city of Kano and Yola, where two frontline healthcare facilities are also currently receiving attention from the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs in comprehensive rehabilitation. Take a listen.
Established in 1926, the Murtala Mohammed Specialist Hospital has over the years grown to assume the status of premier healthcare facility in Kano State. With its status as a specialist and referral center, people come from other neighboring states and even nearby countries to take advantage of its services. However, as a result of old age and lack of maintenance, the hospital was until recently not worthy of the premier status attached to its name. Though the healthcare workers were still trying to do their best for patients, most of the facilities were either working fitfully or had broken down completely. Patients were confronted with unpleasant sides of broken down facilities, ward and consultant rooms with worn-out paints and toilets that have become unusable over time. But today, patients and healthcare workers are singing a new song, following massive rehabilitation of the facilities and structures in the long-neglected hospital by President Muhammadu Buhari through the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, OSAP SDG. The comprehensive rehabilitation work at the hospital, which commenced in 2019, involved rehabilitation of maternity wards and patient sheds, administrative block, X-ray, neuro-emergency, medicine department, vote control office, eye clinic, accident wards, mortuary unit, children's surgical ward, pediatric outpatient ward, dental unit, senior staff quarters, an aesthetic school, female orthopedic and surgery, A ward female and B ward, and the VVF theater. Also rehabilitated were the VVF ward, amenity ward, VVF consultant coordinator, VVF shared, female theater, physio unit and pharmacy, SINAG emergency, internary and clinic, maternity block, dining and kitchen, VIP toilet, septic tank, soakaway pits, solar-powered boreholes and incinerators. The intervention by SDG's office also covered the rehabilitation of the maintenance unit, CSSD and store, growth monitoring unit, house officers' quarters, junior staff quarters, laundry, sickle cell and pediatric unit, children ward, immunization and emergency pediatric unit.
SDG has renovated this facility and have changed the look of it from the way it is before and the way it is now. Currently, the hospital look excellent. And when you now look at it, even in terms of patient perspective and the community, they have appreciated that the hospital is far better than the way it was before. And this work made it in 3 perspectives. One is that in its look from outside, when you look at it, it has improved drastically, and it is making neat and is looking toward the modern situation. And also when you now look at the internal aspects, when you look at the inside, the patients are far better and then much more happier with the current situation. So it's highly appreciable. And when you look at it and the overall aspect, also in terms of lightning, also outside, you see that due to the solar street light that are on ground, the hospital is very beautiful in the night when you are passing, especially when you are crossing the bridge. When you look at it outside, it looks very nice.
With the rehabilitation, it has become a common sight for visitors and patients visiting the hospital to notice the complete change in the outlook of the structures in the hospital that are now wearing new paint.
The last time we witnessed this renovation from the periphery, I think it's more than 20 years. But now look at it, not only staff in this hospital or medical personnel, even visitors, they have been cherishing this, they have been expressing their gratitude and appreciation to the people who initiated this renovation. What we anticipated is what we expect. And everybody is now comfortable. And what impressed me well is that the renovation goes along with supply of equipment. And the equipment is well up to date, because this type of bed, you see, and the lighting system, the water system is well and good, is in conformity with the health standard as of this time. So we are sincerely very grateful.
The infrastructural renewal has also given other sections of the hospital, including the administrative block, medical wards, theater, and conveniences, new looks. Even more exciting was the restoration of regular water supply to hospital, with most patients now able to use the conveniences conveniently. The situation is not different at the Yola Specialist Hospital, another prime healthcare facility in the capital of Adamawa State in northeast Nigeria. Despite its centrality to healthcare in the northeast, the hospital had over the years become run down, with most of the equipment either non-functional or obsolete. The buildings have become dilapidated, and even as basic as it is to good healthcare, patients and visitors to the hospital cannot be guaranteed reliable supply of potable water. Patients and visitors are met with ungainly sights at the theater rooms, laboratories, and the wards, even as the healthcare workers try to do their best for them in the uncomfortable situation. But just like in Kano, patients and visitors to the Yola Specialist Hospital are now glowing in excitement over the change in the outlook of the hospital, following the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari through the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs. The office took up the comprehensive rehabilitation of the hospital, which covered the wards, surgical rooms, the pediatric surgical, orthopedic wards, the eye clinic, the accident emergency compound office. The scope of work also covered the rehabilitation of the access road, main gates to OPD, ceremonial ground parking area, laboratory to admin block parking area, the intensive care unit, theaters, and the mortuary. The result is that the specialist hospital, established in 1938, has now experienced a complete turnaround, though the rehabilitation work is yet to be completed.
As you can see, right from the gate, you can see the overlay asphalt that has been started right from the gate to the admin block up to the parking area. We are at the Accident and Emergency Department, comprising of company office and dispensary units, whereby the work has been completed and has been put in use. As you can see, people are being attended, those that have gone through accident and other emergency cases.
The upgrade in the hospital through the intervention of the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDJs is visible to patients and visitors to the facility right from the entrance with the new rebuilt access road and walkway.
Last 3 years back, this place is not like that. Now the place is very nice, and we appreciate our government. The project is very nice, and the hospital is looking nice now, very beautiful. You see our flowers, the zinc, they are already changing it.
Inside the hospital, patients are also diligently confronted with brand new facilities, as the healthcare facility can now boast of the new beddings, laboratories, theater units, pharmacist department, and morgue. The rehabilitation, which began in 2019, has resulted in the complete remodeling of the administrative block and the access roads now overlaid with asphalt. The accident and emergency department, the male surgical ward, and other areas have been completed, and the patients were also taking advantage of the new facilities, while trolleys can now be taken through the walkways as a result of the rehabilitation. A patient at the orthopedic unit of the hospital, Mohammed Adama, commended the cleanliness of the hospital.
We are so much happy about the environment, because if you look at the environment, it's hygienic. And look at fans, look at everything. They are taking care of us, even the workers, even the nurses and the doctors. They are, alhamdulillah, there's no problem. We are not facing any challenges or any problem. And we are conversing with them without any problem. So we don't have any complaint or any problem here. We are so much happy, and we appreciate their efforts. I personally appreciate the SDG effort, and I am praying lest our country makes some changes like this one.
The situation is very nice, and we're feeling comfortable, especially all the accommodation is all right. The toilet, especially toilet and bathroom, everything is normal. There is water provided there, everything, and it's very neat. It's hygienic now. The hostel before, you cannot be able to even to enter there. If you want to enter the toilet, some they are going outside and defecate there. So they are going somewhere because of the place how was being contaminated. There is nothing is good there.
For the hospital staff, patients and visitors, the intervention by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs is the most comprehensive of such interventions for any healthcare facility in the state.
Next, we'll be taking you on a trip to Ibadan, where a massive rehabilitation work is currently ongoing at the University College Hospital, UCH. Here's a report.
Strategic in the then largest city in West Africa, the University College Hospital, UCH, Ibadan, the first of its kind in Nigeria, was formally commissioned after its completion on the 20th of November, 1957, with 500 bed spaces. The UCH was established in response to the need for the training of medical personnel and other healthcare professionals for the country and the West African sub-region. At its inception in 1957, the UCH had just 2 clinical departments, which include the medicine and surgery. However, the hospital has evolved to accommodate about 65 departments, among which is the first department of nuclear medicine in Nigeria. In addition to undergraduate medical programs, the UCH also provides postgraduate residency training in internal medicine, surgery, gynecology, pediatrics, ophthalmology, and aesthetics, amongst many others.
The hospital was officially commissioned on 20th November 1957, but works started in 1953 So it took the British government approximately 4 years to put up the structure that you have here. It is very massive. And at a point in the history of the hospital, it ranked number 4 in the Commonwealth. People from all over the world used to come to UCH for treatment. And at a point also, one of the kings of Saudi Arabia had to come to UCH. He chose to come to UCH for treatment. And also, bigwigs, eminent Nigerians, eminent people of the world had been treated from here.
Sadly, the UCH has suffered years of lack of maintenance, resulting in huge structural dilapidation, as most of its structural components had neither been changed nor repaired since it was built in 1957. Some of the major challenges facing the hospital include an age-long sewage, piping and water problems, resulting in poor hygiene and acute water shortage for effective hospital management.
When we came around, we noticed that some windows here has broken, whilst the mechanical aspect of it, and that is the plumbing, is not working well. We noticed that some of the offices are not being used anymore due to the breaking of the pipes, due to the feces coming down from the floors. As you can see, the sludge that we are packing out is used to the main pipe that is conveying the sludge of the hospital that has busted in past years, in which it has been a critical point that has stopped the movement of the sewage to the septic tank. It has caused a lot of trouble, but now we want to make everything to work. We are working on the underground now. We are removing the sludge. We are removing the entire pipe, and we will replace it with new ones, whereby all the pipes will be conveying easily. There won't be blockage, and the hospital will be enjoying this better.
As part of government's commitment to providing quality health care towards ensuring the well-being of all Nigerians, the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, in collaboration with the management of the University College Hospital Ibadan, took up the responsibility to innovate the premier hospital towards enhancing a pleasant experience for staff and patients. The 5 blocks of the hospital, renovated by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, include the Southeast Wing, the Central Wing, the Southwest Wing, and the West Wing. When completed, there will be a total rephrasing of the sewage and piping system of the facility with the aim of addressing the incessant shortage of water supply issues in the hospital. This is the first time that such a project will be carried out at the UCH since it was established in 1957. The renovation also includes the installation of new LED lights and windows in all the blocks. Also, with the installation of 200 solar street lights, the hospital now properly illuminated at night.
For those who have known the perennial problem of water shortage at the University College Hospital, whereby doctors will have to use what they call pure water sachet to wash hands at times, patients have to carry kegs of water through many floors before patients are able to have clean water to drink and for other utilization. This project has made water to flow in all the wards that they are handling, because they are handling 5 major blocks. Water is now flowing to a reasonable level in all of them. So the aesthetics of the hospital has been improved because they changed our windows, they painted, and the floor, the walls, the roof, all of them are now looking new. This has improved our aesthetic appeals, because it is interesting that when we travel overseas, these are some of the things we see that attracts us to go there. And of course, I know I'm correct to say that even a good ambience of the hospital, the neatness of the walls, and the beauty of the environment also constitutes or has some healing power on its own. And of course, the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDG, Dr. Adejoke Adefulure, also helped us to install solar-powered lights this has gone around all the campus. And of course, it's a beauty to behold when you come to UCH at night. Even when there's power outage, UCH is never in darkness. It is so beautiful to behold. And these are things that has been the value addition to our institution, the University College Hospital Ibadan. I feel so excited and I feel so proud of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, who under the Office of the Sustainable Development Goals has made it possible for Dr. Adejoke Orelope Adefulure to grant us this massive renovation that is going on in the hospital. We really appreciate the President. We also appreciate Dr. Adefulure for what she has done for us. We have never had it this good.
The renovation job ongoing, pioneered by the SDGs, is something that has turned around the ambience and then the service rendered by the University College Hospital. In a way, it has affected our tripartite functions, that is the research, service, and training. All the pipes that have rusted for years, they have removed it, and then they have replaced it with a new one. Aside that, we have a kind of UCH that is having an update, new windows, new things that they have been doing. They have painted, they have done a lot of things. We are eternally grateful to the Princess, Dr. Adejoke Orelope Adefulure. We have never had it this way since 1957 that University College Hospital has been put in place. This is the truth. There is no major renovation like this that will touch every part of the buildings that we have.
The originator of this institution, they did a great job. We just learned that the engineers that really built the structure, UCH, did fantastic job. That is the aging factor. Some of this structure got damaged and because of age and all these things along the line. So that's to tell you that especially the water reticulation, the sewage line got blocked, and whatever superficial repair you do, you still have issues with the blockage and the flow. So with this current project going on, it's a relief because it's holistic. We are not just doing it at the surface. You are going to go to the root. As we are here, there's still underground walkway that can take home, and that is where all the sewage line, how the pipes pass through. So if that one is blocked and you do anything up here, then nothing will work. And that has been the experience in the past. You find a situation where some of those pipelines are repaired in walls, and yet they still get blocked within a short time. But this current project is unique in the sense that they will take care of that sewage line underground, and that means a better job to us.
According to the head of Engineering and Projects Monitoring Committee of the UCH, Engineer Olujobi Emmanuel Olainka, the project, when completed, will tremendously facelift the UCH, adding that the intervention will now enable the hospital to be able to provide effective healthcare delivery to patients and staff of the hospital.
At the end of this project, this exercise, the renovation, number one, the UCH will come out in a very new look that is generally aesthetically. And engineering-wise, most of all our water supply system and electricity, power supply system will be improved. Most of the walls that are in darkness and some switches and that are not working for many years, that since the time of the Queen Elizabeth, over 60 years ago, we now have we will be having a modern one that will be of encouragement and make our jobs, maintenance work to be easy. And in terms of the inpatients that will be coming, it will afford them a very good opportunity to have a better care, because better care, they will have a better bed, better water supply, better electricity, and better equipment that will be installed in each ward and in the laboratory.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Princess Adejoke Orilokpe Adefulire, in her remarks, reiterated the commitment of government towards providing sustainable social development to Nigerians, especially in the areas of education, eradication of poverty, bridging the gender equality gap, and provision of healthcare. Princess Adejoke highlighted the efforts of the SDGs towards providing intervention to support the subnational governments in ensuring the acceleration in the achievement of the global goals in Nigeria.
At this time, we need more support for the health sector must be revitalized. Also to get the general hospital also to be more functional, and the teaching hospital also to be more functional and maintained. Right now, we are working in UCH Ibadan. And this UCH Ibadan was built 57 years ago, and there was no maintenance carried out since the hospital was built. Ditto to Murtala Mohammed Hospital and Yola Specialist Hospital. So we expect that we'll go to Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital also during the course of this year to see how we can do some renovation work also there. So in doing that, we want to support the subnational government to ensure that people can walk into the hospital, get the best of that you can get, and reduce medical tourism across the world, and that you can get value for money even within Nigeria.
Remember, you can always watch this program and other episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channels on youtube.com/Fresh News TV and youtube.com/Agenda 2030 TV. You can also watch the program live. Just log on to www.facebook.com/Fresh News NG and www.facebook.com/Agenda 2030 TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Agenda 2030 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to drop your comments and share with your contacts. Do use the hashtag Agenda 2030 and hashtag Agenda 2030 TV. And that's how much we can take on the program this week. Do keep a date with us next week as we bring you another refreshing episode. I am Toyin Nkamiang John. Thank you for staying with us.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Talking Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder.
Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
Arise, O compatriots. It's time to use our voice.
Beyond Six Packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills. Keep paying the telephone bills. Please pay my bills.
Welcome to Gallery.
Me and my paddies.
London for what? London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness.
Welcome to Gist Zone.
All right, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and thanks for joining us on another episode of Health Options. I am Rabi Abdullah. A year has rolled by since Nigeria recorded its first case of COVID-19. Since then, the situation has evolved with the federal government and states keeping up measures to combat the virus. That's our focus on this week's episode of Health Options as the country enters the phase of the non-pharmaceutical interventions plus vaccines stage of the national response. Thanks for joining us on the program. This is Health Options, and we are evaluating the one-year milestone of COVID-19 in the country. And to take us through that is the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 Incident Manager, Dr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Welcome to Health Options, Dr. Mukhtar.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. Just like yesterday, February 2020, was a year ago, and a whole lot of things had happened. What can you tell us when it comes to the high and the low moments for us as a people?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I would say that it has been a learning curve for most of us. It is something that we have not experienced in the past in the country. We went through this global pandemic with a lot of energy and a lot of expectations. And I'm glad that we are able to come through to this time, that we have learned a few things during this experience. Top among it, for us at the coordination level at the PTF, is that we have realized the power of working together, having different aspects of government, to come together in a multi-sectoral, multidisciplinary approach, to strategically focus on a health problem. That has helped us a lot, and we have learned a lot of lessons.
Okay.
Second, in the area of resource mobilization, we know that not only government can provide all the funding that is required because it is enormous. So we have also learned that working with the private sector, working with the donor communities, will be able to leverage on resources to be able to utilize this response. Third is the expertise within the country. Nigeria is so blessed with so much human resources, people who are willing, to mobilize themselves and to go to any length to make sure that they provide their own support and they contribute their own quota in terms of epidemic control and treatment. So we've seen all of that, and we have learned that really working together will be able not only to fight COVID-19, but any future pandemic that we are going to face.
I was at one of the isolation centers in Abuja, and some of the complaints that I gathered from there had to do with the fact that even though personnel who work within those isolation and treatment centers, do so voluntarily, but right now, that isolation center, and I'll be specific now, I'm referring to that of the Abuja University Teaching Hospital located in Gwagwala, which is currently, grappling with the challenge of shortage of staff. And another thing that, came as a surprise to me, is the fact that the kind of, private sector involvement that we saw in the first wave, from what I was told, is really, really gone down. What happened? What can you say?
The issue of human capacity at the isolation facility. It is located within the teaching hospital, and we have staff who have been properly trained, and these staff have been distributed to cover the 3 shifts that they run. You have medical doctors, you have nurses, you have other healthcare workers that are supporting it. The hospital is fully cooperating and are working with the Ministry of Health. We have the case management pillar at the Ministry of Health, who not only supervises the isolation facility in Gwagwalada, but also provides guidance to all isolation facilities in the country. So if there are issues of staff, our expectation is that this should be handled and addressed quickly. Patients should not be allowed to suffer or to feel the impact of lack of staff, because there are enough people who have been mobilized. We have intensivists, that is intensive care providers, who have also been trained to provide that services. So if there is any gap, I believe that between the hospital and the Federal Ministry of Health, that should be resolved. And the pity of this has not escalated to us. Regarding the donor issue, yes, at the beginning I must sincerely appreciate the private sector facility because they all came together. Talking about the organized private sector, our banks, specific philanthropists and the central bank came together under the umbrella of COVID. And they came out, they raised, I don't remember the amount now, but they said, how do you want us to spend this money? So we worked together with them to determine the needs. At that time, our need was to establish more isolation facilities. And they went ahead to establish these isolation facilities, some of them in tertiary hospitals and some of them open spaces, because at that time the prediction was that we are going to be handling thousands of cases on the street. But luckily that did not happen. Even right now, it is not that the support has dwindled. It is that they are provided the support in another way. We have a lot of activities going on regarding screening of people who are coming into the country from the airports. And the private sector is actually contributing a lot in that regard. They are supporting our IT system, that is the portal that is handling the Nigerian International Travel Portal, where people register and upload their test results before they come into the country. They are responsible for providing internet in all of the airports. So I won't say that the support is dwindling. I would say that it is just being redirected into other focus.
Okay, so you wouldn't say it has anything to do with the way and manner whatever came in the past was managed? Because we're talking about commodities now.
When the private sector raised their funds, they did not take these funds and deposited it into an account with PTF. No, they managed these resources themselves. So it is their account, it is their money. They decide on what to buy, when to buy, and how to distribute it. What we do is we work with them to make sure that there is equity in the distribution and also there is quality in what we procure and how we distribute it. So we provide them with the advice. And right now what we are discussing with them is to try to get an inventory from them of what they have procured and where they have distributed them. Most of these things have been donated to the state governments, and we are working with them. They are going to provide us with the end users, the list of the end users, which facilities are these commodities are located. So it has had nothing to do with transparency or how funds were spent.
Okay, good to know that. Let's look at the issue of some other issues, playing out. We still have a lot of people who live in denial. They still don't believe that there is COVID-19. What are we doing differently, or what do we intend doing differently, apart from the enforcement order from the president?
So unfortunately, COVID-19, like many other viral diseases, it does not have a cure. Unless you have a cure, that is when you say, okay, people come and take treatment. What you do, the best thing you can do to yourself is to prevent yourself from getting infected, protect your family, and also protect your community. So these interventions will continue to be with us for a very long time. Now, the issue of enforcement, that is where government comes in. to ensure that, the freedom of one person does not constitute an infringement on the right of others. If somebody is ill, is sneezing, is having fever, and he comes into public places, it's likely that he is going to distribute that disease to a lot of people, even though that is not his intention. So that is where the enforcement of government comes in. The enforcement is not meant to restrict people. It is not meant to be punitive, but it is just intended to protect other people so that they don't get infected. How did we arrive at the second wave? There was a lot of complacency from the authorities, from the individuals, from communities. People feel like because we have eased up, we have opened up the society, there was no longer lockdown, so people felt like COVID has gone. We continued to interact, we continued to have ceremonies and celebrations. We started sporting activities. By the time it was December, there was a lot of parties and celebrations. We had the NSAS protest, we have a lot of other, and it was the effect of all this non-compliance that culminated into the second wave. So it is important that we continue to abide by these regulations because there is no treatment. The only way we will do it is to protect ourselves.
Okay, looking at the enforcement order now, it seems to be more effective only within the civil service circle. Do you agree with that?
Well,
and corporate organizations. Outside that, people just go about,
So within the civil service, that is within the control of government, and that is where we feel that we should set an example for others to follow. The private sector, I believe, is also trying because we see how they are trying to control people, institute temperature checks, and also ensure that people without mask are not allowed into the premises. But again, it has to be a continuous process. I agree with you, it's only a few urban centers that you see this enforcement in place. But we are working with all the state governments. We had a meeting where we agreed that we have to support the other states to be able to enforce compliance in different places. It's not going to be easy. It has to be a continuous effort, and it has to be owned by the states and sustained by them because the federal government cannot be everywhere. What is needed is to provide the enabling environment or the enabling framework, which Mr. President has done by signing the health protection regulation.
Okay, let's look at the big one, the most current, talking about vaccine. Now, Nigeria had, finally taken delivery of its first consignment of COVID-19 vaccine, talking about the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and almost 4 million. Yeah, and it's different true for different folks, if you ask me, because some people are excited, others are just indifferent, and others are still, on the fence, hesitancy, thinking on whether to go for it or take the jab or not. What have you got to say?
We are actually delighted when we received the delivery of the 4 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine in the country. It is something that we have long expected. A lot of work has gone, a lot of negotiations and planning have gone into place. So certainly we have people who are really expectant to receive it. And I want to believe that that will constitute the majority of the informed people. We have people, like you mentioned, who may be sitting in the fence. We have to, we hope to convince them. We hope that they will be able to reason with facts and with science. And of course, you have people who are living in denial. Now, that is where a lot of effort has to be put in place. We are engaging with the traditional rulers in the country. We're engaging with the religious leaders. We're engaging with the media, to try to advance this cause. There is nothing like COVID-19 vaccine is meant to hurt Africans, or it is meant to put a chip in somebody's body. All this false information, they have to be discontinued.
Conspiracy theory.
There are a lot of conspiracy theories, and these are not limited to Nigeria. And in the days of internet, people can go and read anything, and the fake news proliferates more, I think, than even the fact or the the real science behind it. So we have to work on that, and we continue to work on it. We have different strategies to try to approach the various communities in the country with the correct information.
In the efforts to ensure efficacy or potency of the vaccines, at what level or how long can it be left outside that could render it, impotent or ineffective?
So the good thing with the Oxford AstraZeneca, and it's really in our choice because it will fit in more with our existing logistics system. It can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. That is, our ordinary freezers, home freezers, which you have available in most of the healthcare facilities, and also in our strategic stores in the country. And it can be brought out of that and then, preserved with ice pack, inside a cooler, transported and then utilized. When you have not finished all the vaccine, you can still return it to the refrigerator. So it is really workable. It can tolerate even some few days, without actually being refrigerated. So it is something that we believe that our current system can sustain, and we do not have fear of wastages. We do not have fear of lack of electricity, because the NPHCDA has assured us that we have these solar-powered freezers, that are distributed in the country, and there are a whole lot of them.
Okay. So, talking about, aftermath of administration now, of course, there could be adverse effects, there could be the normal, reaction because something new had gone into your system. And what mechanism do you have, like, in tracking, records of those who had taken the jab? How's it going to be?
Yes, so that is really one aspect that I think this vaccination system is well prepared for. If you look at it, the registration is very didactic. We have to record your name, your phone number, the point where you are going to get your jab, and then you will report if you have any adverse reactions. Now let me come to that. Like you rightly mentioned, whenever you have vaccine, any vaccine, there are bound to be some side effects or reactions which are considered to be normal. For example, at the injection site, it's likely, of course, you will have pain because you are being injected. Second, there might be some small rush at that place, at the site of the injection. That is also normal, But most importantly, whenever you inject something that contains protein into the body, it's bound to elicit, a rise in temperature. So that whenever people, get that kind of feeling, symptoms or signs, they should report. We have a tracking system that the NPHCDA has rolled out for people to report any adverse effects that they have noted. Now, there are known adverse effects for this vaccine, which will be symptoms similar to the disease itself. Now, that is where people may get confused, because it's likely you can have high temperature. You can also have some signs of cold, like running nose or sneezing, and others, because it is eliciting reaction, within the body. So some people will think, oh, I'm coming down with COVID. Yes, you've been vaccinated against COVID, and you are just coming out with some of the signs, because the symptoms of COVID themselves are as a result of our body trying to fight the virus. That is why we have running nose. That is why we have fever. That is why sometimes we have cough, because our immune system is trying to fight it back.
How does the vaccine play out?
Okay, so let me start. If you have not contracted the virus and you are eligible, you will get vaccinated. And if you are vaccinated, it means you are getting protection against COVID-19. Now, how is this protection? The virus itself, this Oxford AstraZeneca itself, is what we call a viral vector. vaccine, meaning that it is a virus that is gotten from other animals, chimpanzees in this case, and now deactivated, and now the part of the virus is now injected into you so that it elicits the production of some part of the virus, so that whenever you come into contact with the virus now, your body already knows how to fight the virus. So your body reacts and fights. It prevents you from actually getting the disease. Okay, you can get infected, but you will not come down with the disease because your body knows how to fight it. Now that is somebody who has not been infected. In somebody who has been infected, already the body has been sensitized and it has produced what is called the humoral antibody, which is mostly, the antibodies that are there. But these antibodies don't last long. We don't know, up to now we don't know exactly how long they last. Some studies have suggested that they can be there for 3 months, some have said for 6 months. But we have recorded cases of infections where people were infected with COVID-19 and 3 months after, they now come down with the infection again. So that has not been established, exactly. It will take time for us to do that. Now, what the vaccine does in this kind of people is to help you produce the long-term immunity, which is those cells that will now recognize the virus or any part of the virus and they will fight it. So again, it means you can get infected, but you will not come down with the disease. In somebody who is already infected, currently he has tested and he is COVID-19 positive. Our advice is that person should wait, should not take the vaccine at this moment because his body is already producing the antibody. He's already reacting to it. So we would wait until after 3 months when he is negative, then he can now take, because by that time the antibodies would have declined to a level where he will now become exposed. So everybody among these 3 groups, we all need the vaccination because even if you have been infected, it is not for lifetime. It is just for a short period, say 3 months, they say 6 months, but our advice is after 3 months, if you test negative, then you are now free to take the vaccine so that you can have the protection for a longer period.
Okay, so how long does it even confer immunity on someone?
With COVID, we will not rush to say that it will provide you lifetime because scientists are still studying the facts. So we know that at least it will give you protection for a much longer time.
Okay. Yeah. Your final word to Nigerians, now that we're in this state, of vaccine administration.
Yes, the most important thing right now is for people to try to get access to the vaccines, to try to register. There are many diverse routes through which people can register for this vaccination, and for people to also try to not to follow any fake news or all the conspiracy theories, to understand that these vaccines are working. We have seen it established, with facts. We have seen countries where a large number, if you take in the UK for example, a large number of people who were in the elderly home, were coming down with the virus. 80% of them, come down with the disease. When they have been immunized now, the cases have declined. Been eliminated. Zero. No cases are coming. So certainly that is to say that the vaccine works. We have evidence that it works, and we urge Nigerians, to be able to comply and also register for this vaccine.
Okay, I was made to understand that if one's immunity is low, the vaccine might just not have any effect on you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that is true, and that is still being studied. So people with immune deficiencies, long-term immune disorders, they have to be evaluated on case-by-case basis. If the immunity is actually very down, it means that the body will not be able to mount the required immunity to fight the disease. So your physician will have to evaluate and then advise accordingly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Mukhtar Mohammed, for coming on Health Options. We really appreciate your time with us.
Thank you. It is my pleasure.
That's our package for this week. A quick reminder that you can go to our YouTube channel to watch the uploads of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi Abdullah, and I urge you to stay safe. Bye for now.
And never get this kind of thing.